Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing the Ohio State versus Wisconsin game where Ohio State defeated Wisconsin 24-10. This was an old-fashioned Big Ten battle, but the big thing that kind of helped Ohio State get through this game was Marvin Harrison Jr., Heisman candidate, and Trayvon Henderson, the X factor for this football team. I'm going to say if we did not have those two players, we would not be winning this game because Trayvon Henderson, he brings the run game, and Marvin Harrison Jr. brings the pass game. If both those players were not on the field, we would have lost this game and scored 0 points. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of go through, I'm going to review kind of the flow of the game, my emotions as the game kind of went on, and then we're going to kind of go through it, and I got a couple points I kind of want to hit at for this game. So without further ado, if you're going to enjoy today's video, as always, make sure you do drop a like. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, like I said, 24-10 was the final score. This game, I'm going to be honest, could have been a lot higher. It could have been a 31-10, 38-10 type victory. Maybe Wisconsin, they had a shot earlier in the game, in the end of the first half, where they could have had this game being 24-14, maybe had a better shot at the end of the game. They also had a missed field goal. It was a lot of crazy shit. But let's kind of run through the game. First quarter, Ohio State gets the field goal. Then I think it's like the end of the first quarter, Kyle McCord, we're going to get into him in a minute. He threw a pick. What the fuck you doing? Second half comes along. We get the touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it was the same exact play they said that we had against Penn State where Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of just ran a little drag, had some blockers up ahead. He takes it, he just goes right up around the corner, easy touchdown. At the end of the first half, Wisconsin, they should have had a touchdown, but the defender, or the receiver, his knee went down. In college, for those of you who do not know, in college, if your knee or any part of your body goes down besides your hands or your feet, you are down. In the NFL, you can get back up as long as you're not touched. And that's where I think Wisconsin fans, they were getting pissed off. They were saying, well, he got back up. In the NFL, you can do that, not in college. Defense had a huge third down stand. I think their running back, he actually tried to dive for the touchdown. Tommy Eichenberg, the linebacker, he just came in and it was like two bricks just going boom. And I believe the running back for Wisconsin, after that hit, he went out for the game. They said it was an ankle injury because whenever they were carrying him off, he was like in favor. I think it was either right or left ankle, whichever one. But he looked a little bit dizzy whenever he got hit. So I'm thinking they probably tested him for concussion protocol. Maybe he passed, but they did say it was the ankle that was bothering him. Coming into the second half, Wisconsin came out there, and I'm thinking, okay, Wisconsin's offense has not been doing good. Let's go ahead and shut them down. They moved right down the field, I think in like 4 plays. It was a throw to a receiver that he just kind of did like a little spin move. He went for like 40 yards, got to about the 50-yard line. Next play, I think it was a run or a quarterback draw. The quarterback just goes right up the middle, and then they're like down with a 20-yard line. And right before that, they did have 2 run plays where they went nowhere, but then the draw play and they just took off. And then the very next play, I think they had like a receiver kind of like crosser, went to the back of the end zone. He had the touchdown easily wide open. I forget if it was Proctor and I think Ransom or Burke, one of those 3. It was 2 of them at least that were up there, and they kind of had some miscommunications because I think it was number 7 who was screaming at the other safety, kind of saying like, what the fuck you doing? So it kind of goes to show you when Ohio State is not on the same page, that's when they're allowing their scores, when they're not playing their ball. But when they're playing their ball, it's very rare you see people score on this defense. Right after that play, Marvin Harrison Jr., he went down the field, and oh my god, the catch this boy made. There were 2 catches he made. One in the first half, I forget if it was the first or second quarter, but it was like he kind of like ran up and he had to like kind of like start laying out and he caught it and he had to roll with it. It looked like it was almost not a catch, but it was a catch. And then the touchdown ball where it like came into his arms, the defender should have been called for face mask and pass interference and holding. Oh my god. The guy literally went, and as Marvin Harrison got the ball into his shoulder, the guy like grabbed a hold of Marvin Harrison's face mask and just yanked his ass at the ground. They went and reviewed it. It was a great catch. Marvin Harrison Jr., Heisman candidate. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then to kind of wrap up the game, at the very end of the game, Trayvon Henderson, he put the final nail in the coffin. He hit the 33-yard run for the touchdown. It was huge. And at the very end of the game, I think it was like 2 minutes and 44 seconds to go. Wisconsin, they tried to throw up a not really Hail Mary, but just like a prayer throw to one of the receivers. And a lot of fans wanted the pass interference. Denzel Burke, I think, was the guy on him. And you don't test Denzel Burke. People wanted a flag, but when you look at the review, the Wisconsin receiver, he was first grabbing Burke, then Burke started grabbing him. If it was just Burke grabbing him, defensive pass interference. If it was the Wisconsin receiver grabbing him and then he caught it, it would have been offensive pass interference. But the fact that they're both hand fighting, that's kind of a rule that the refs will kind of allow towards like if you're both fighting, you're both battling, I'm not going to throw a flag because you're both doing it. What am I going to do? Throw a flag on both of you and offset the penalty? Let's go ahead and get a couple of things that I want to talk about. First up, let's talk about this defense. Oh my god, this defense is championship caliber. I've been saying it all season, every single one of these videos. They are a bend, but don't break defense. They're going to allow the 10-yard run, maybe like a 10, 15-yard pass, but they really worked on eliminating the 30, 40-yard chunk plays, the big 70-yard run pass over the top plays. They're not allowing those this season. They're making it to where if you're going to get this ball down the field, you're going to have to either methodically move your way down the field or use a bunch of penalties. And so far the past few weeks, I think they've been getting a lot of penalties called on them that's been just allowing them to move down the field. Now, do I think the defense has room for improvement? I obviously think they do. Every team in the nation, no matter how good you are, always has something you can get better at. When you look at the 3 levels of the defensive line, they've been moving the ball, or moving the line of scrimmage quite a bit. Last night, they didn't really get that many sacks. I think they got 2 sacks towards the end of the game, but that was more like cleanup time. And that's been a problem they've been kind of struggling with this year. Jack Sawyer, JTT, they've been like the main edge rushers. They've been saying that JTT is going to be a first-round pick in the draft. He needs to kind of get some sacks if he wants to improve that draft stock. That D tackle, Tyler Williams, he made a name for himself last night. He went out there and balled. I think he had a pass deflection. He had a sack, I think. A couple of tackles for a loss. The dude was all over the place. The defense did get a turnover. They should have had 2, if I'm being honest. They had the fumble earlier on in the game. It was right after Kyle McCord actually had a fumble that he coughed the ball up. Once again, we'll get into him in a minute. But he coughed the ball up, and then it was like, we were like thinking, oh my God, what are we doing? And then it was like 2 plays later, Wisconsin coughs the ball up. It was, I think, Braden Allen, the running back that went out for Wisconsin. He coughed the ball up, and Ohio State got the ball back. That's where Ohio State was able to go on and get the 3 points, get the 3-0. Overall, like I said, the defense, they played good. The only mistake they made was at the very end of the game, were just a little bit miscommunication. Number 7, number 8, I think, or number 7, 41, I think it was Proctor and Ransom, or Proctor and Burke. I forget the numbers. But they made a little miscommunication. The receiver got open, touchdown. After that, we shut him down. Let's get into Marvin Harrison Jr. for a minute. If you are not having this man on your Heisman candidate list, at least in the top 5, what is wrong with you? Now I realize wide receivers don't really win Heisman trophies. We've only had, I think, like 5 or 6 in the entire history of Heisman winners, of wide receivers to ever win. One that comes off the top of my mind is Devontae Smith. Recently, in recent history, he won it, but he had, I think, like 1,800 yards, like 16 touchdowns. The dude has some banana stats. But I think the whole reason of a Heisman trophy, the way they need to look at the Heisman trophy is, you are literally the best player on the field at all times. You are the best player in the country, and that's what it should mean. And the way I would look at it is, you look at all the Heisman candidates. You take away Bo Nix out of Oregon. Would they still be good? I think so. You take away Quinn Ewers out of Texas. So far, they've been looking still good. Take Michael Penix Jr. out of the Washington offense. I think they'd still be good-ish, but he, I think, is kind of showing why he's a Heisman candidate. And then whenever you look at Marvin Harrison Jr., you take him out of this Ohio State offense, there'd be no offense. I mean, this even goes back to last year when C.J. Stroud was the quarterback. C.J. Stroud and Kyle McCord, they both literally have been forcing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's that damn good. He knows how to get open, and when he does get open, as long as you get the ball to him, he can get some yak. Now, do I think Marvin Harrison Jr. can win the Heisman? I don't think so. I think, if anything, I am praying that he's at least a finalist. If he can at least be a finalist, I'd be happy. Looking at his stats so far through the year, I think he can at least get up there around like maybe 1,200 yards. Hopefully he can get around 10 touchdowns. Right now, he's getting about 2 touchdowns a game the past like 2 or 3 games. But with the way he's kind of playing here towards the end of the season, I think that Michigan game, that kind of holds everything, especially for another Heisman candidate, J.J. McCarthy. Yes, I'm saying Michigan's quarterback is a Heisman candidate because I'm not stupid. I'm not going to be super biased here. I think he is playing out of his mind. He's a Heisman candidate. But that game can come down to decide for both of their futures. If Marvin Harrison balls out in that game, he's going to get a boost in the Heisman rating. If J.J. McCarthy goes out there and puts up 35, 42 points against Ohio State's defense, that's going to boost his Heisman rating. Looking at Marvin Harrison Jr.'s stats last night, like I said, the 2 touchdowns, over 100 receiving yards. They said he's right now on a 4-game streak of having 100 receiving yards. The dude is basically showing the reason why we lost last year against Georgia in the college football playoff semifinal is because when he went down, the offense went down. Let's go ahead and discuss the X factor on Ohio State's offense and the man that's on the thumbnail. Travion Henderson, he's been out the past couple weeks. He went out in the Notre Dame game, but ever since he's been injured, this run offense has not been there. We haven't been able to run the ball inside, outside, wherever we wanted to go. But it seemed like he came back last night and just bolted. Looking at the stats last night, 24 carries, 162 yards. He had that long touchdown run, like I said, at the very end of the game to be the kill shot. The other running backs got some work involved. Xavier Johnson, he took about 4 end arounds. Cool play design, especially whenever it's the first play of the game sometimes. But when you do it repetitively, I'm surprised Wisconsin wasn't able to stop it. Chip Trayanum had a couple of big runs, 6 carries, 13 yards, nothing crazy. Travion Henderson also got involved in the pass game, 4 receptions, 45 yards. Travion Henderson should have had a touchdown earlier on the game. I think it was the first quarter. He threw it kind of like towards the back pylon, Kyle McCord did, and it just hit off Travion Henderson's hands. They ended up settling for a field goal, I think, at that time. I was kind of pissed off by it. I think going forward, as long as Travion Henderson stays healthy, this offense is going to be prolific. Now let's get into the man that could possibly fuck up this whole offense. Kyle McCord. The man had a fumble in the first drive of the game, I believe. He had an interception that he should have just thrown away. If you saw the play, it's like, I think it was Fleming or Harrison, one of the two kind of coming across, and they looked like they were coming open, but then it was like 2 corners where one in front, one behind, were right there running with him, And Kyle thought he was going to be like CJ Stroud last year and just try and fit balls into that little spot. Kyle, I hate to break it to you, but you ain't him. He tried to fit the ball in there. It got picked. At first, it looked like it might not have been an interception, but on review, you can clearly see the guy catch the ball, drag his foot, touch, or interception. Then later on in the game, I think it was whenever Ohio State was up 17-10, we had a chance in plus territory. I think it's like the 42-yard line. We had a chance to try and go maybe get like a field goal, at least a field goal, and he tries to fit the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of coming across. He tries to throw the ball to him. But if you look at the play, and I realized looking at it afterwards, after the fact, you're going to be looking at these plays and be like, what the fuck, how'd you miss this? But in real moment, if you watch the play, Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of coming across. I think it was Xavier Johnson was going downfield, and as Kyle was going to pump to go through and throw it to Marvin Harrison Jr., the corner that was on Xavier Johnson, he left Johnson and started coming right back to Harrison, jumped around, picked it off, and started running back to, I think, like the 40-yard line. But in those moments, I wonder what would happen if Kyle would have seen that, and he would have pump faked to Harrison, and the corner would have left even just for that split second, because Xavier Johnson, he was on a straight go. He was going. He wasn't looking back or anything. If that would have been a pump fake and Johnson could have got free, that would have been 6 right there. We are slowly starting to realize as the season goes on that Kyle McCord is a very prototypical system quarterback. He's a game manager, if you want to say that. He knows how to run the system. He runs it well. As long as he doesn't do any stupid stuff to where it's like he has to go out there and be the savior, you can win your game. But the second you start asking him to do too much, that's where it gets risky. And I question what's going to happen towards the end of the year whenever we play Michigan. What's going to happen there? Because we're going to need Kyle McCord to actually go out there and have to put up some big time throws. Now, do I think Kyle McCord is a god-awful quarterback? No, I think he's got a lot to work on. I think he can get better. I think he can improve at a lot of different things. The past couple weeks, Emeka Egbuka has also been out. He was going to go in this game, but then he decided not to go. I'm hoping once we have a fully healthy offense around him, Henderson out there, Mike Williams out there as the number 2 back, Marvin Harrison Jr., Carno Tate, Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, everybody fully healthy, Xavier Johnson as the Swiss Army knife. When everybody's healthy there, that's where we're really going to see, like, if Kyle can't produce with everybody's healthy, we might need to figure something out going forward. Last thing I'll kind of leave it off with, Devin Brown, the backup quarterback, he had the ankle injury. They said he might not be back for a few weeks. So what happens now if Kyle McCord does get hurt? Because he also got hurt in that game. He had the foot injury. He got hurt. It was not a ugly foot injury. It was more of like, it seemed like he just kind of stubbed his toe, kind of rammed his knee into the ground. He was limping a little bit. I don't know the severity of the injury, but if he were to go down, they said the backup quarterback now is a true freshman. I forget the guy's name, but they said he's pretty good. He's pretty good, they said. And I'm starting to wonder after that game that we just saw, if this next game comes around, I think we play Rutgers next week on the road. If we go out there against Rutgers and Kyle was struggling again, do we go to the freshman? I'd be curious to see if we do that. But I'm going to leave it off with this. A win is a win. I still think Wisconsin is a very good team. They have a really good defense. I think the problem with the offense is once that running back went down, they were struggling. And I also believe they were on they said their number 2 quarterback already. The quarterback they had out there, that was their backup quarterback, and they were on their number 2 receiver, so they were already kind of in a pickle. But going forward, I think Ohio State, like I said, plays Rutgers next week. Let's look forward to that game. But I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go on to enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure you go ahead and drop a like. Very much appreciate if you do so. If you watched the entire today's video, thank you very much, and you want to kind of leave your opinion on kind of how the game went, your opinion on Kyle McCord, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trevor Henderson, what do you think about all the players' performances? Leave it in the comments. If you're enjoying the content that I am posting here and you want to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post. But without further ado, this has been Donald Talk Sports. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.